Hey guys, it's Hink here. So boy, do I have a spicy one for you today. I know, hey, it's new iPhone season. Everybody is excited about their new iPhones. But I have some evidence that, hey, maybe we should hold our horses a little bit, especially when it comes to penile health and overall your impression about how you feel about the size of your penis. I know the title of this is like, are iPhones making your penis smaller? But I'm actually going to provide you some pretty definitive evidence that, like, low-key they are. Stick with me today. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to talk about are the psychologic side effects of iPhones. Now, this is pretty interesting, and some of you guys may be like, "King, that's a reach," but, just stick with me, okay? The first thing that I want to bring out is the size of the iPhones are increasing dramatically, okay? Probably you guys are too young. I'm old enough where I remember when literally the first iPhone came out and how bad I wanted it, but I was on Verizon and it was only on AT&T, whatever. But even let's just take it up to the iPhone 6, okay, or 6S. That phone was 5.4 inches in its greatest dimension, in its height. Now we're up to the iPhone 16, like plus or whatever. That phone is a full inch bigger as far as height, okay? And so proportionally, these phones are getting bigger. Now, Hink, why the hell does that matter? Well, I'll tell you why, guys. You would be surprised how many guys actually measure their manhood based on the size proportionally to an iPhone. Many of you guys saw my video reacting to the cut clip where it's like, we ask 100 guys about the size of their D, and one of the guys says, my D is the exact size of an iPhone. And here's the clip here.
It's the size of an iPhone 6.
My iPhone 11 on scale, maybe a little bit bigger on a good day,
Obviously, this isn't the only guy who's measured their D based on an iPhone. So here I found a pretty interesting little screenshot here from actually the Ask Gay Bros subreddit. And I'll read it to you. It says, I just realized most iPhones today are the same length as an average erect D. So this was from 4 years ago, guys, when the iPhones were significantly smaller. It's funny, some of the comments, and there's even a comment that says, that explains why our Ds are getting smaller since 2007. It's like, ha ha ha, that's joking. But it's true, guys. Proportionally, I say this as a bad metaphor, but maybe it still works. But like, imagine that you were a ball boy in the NBA. Let's say you're an average height, even you're taller than average. You're 6 feet tall. If you're around guys that are just 6'5" to 7'6" all day long, you're going to feel like you're short, even though you're not. If you're carrying around these big objects like a big 6.5-inch iPhone in your pocket, and you're used to carrying these big objects, you're going to start to feel worse about your manhood. And clearly, like, I'm not the first person that has thought about this. I know it's a reach. I get it. But still, guys, like, there is evidence of this. So let's think about the size of the iPhones as if it was the size of a D, okay? So here is Calc SD, okay? And Calc SD, if you haven't been to it, it's like calcsd.org or something. But it literally has compiled a bunch of data to determine basically penis size, and you can actually like type in your dimensions and see where you rank among men, whether it's Eastern, Western, or global averages, okay? For perspective, when you look at the iPhone 6, 5.4 inches non-bone pressed, guys, because obviously it's a non-bone pressed length. I'm not going to go on my rant about how stupid it is that like men are concerned about like bone pressed length unless you're measuring progress. Here we have 5.4 inches non-bone pressed. When you look at the global average, 5.4 inches non-bone pressed, you're in the 86.5 percentile. That means in a room of 1,000, only 135 would be bigger than you. Now, if you look on the Western average, because I got called out in my last video for not including the Western averages, 5.4 inches non-bone pressed in a room of 1,000, 388 would be bigger, but you're at the 61.2 percentile. So you're like well above average with that. But then if you compare it to the actual new iPhones, like the iPhone 16 Plus or 16 Pro, when you're talking about 6.4 inches non-bone pressed, when you're looking at the global average, you're in the 99.7 percentile. So in a room of 1,000, only 3 guys would be bigger than you. And if you look at the Western average, you're in the 87.6%. In a room of 1,000, only 124 would be bigger than you. That is a very big size. If you are the same size as the new iPhone Plus, like, you are very well endowed, period, end of story. Like, I don't want to hear any discussion in the comments. Well, actually, Hank, I've been in locker rooms and I think the average is 9 inches. Like, you're an idiot, okay? Leave a comment because it helps the algo, but you're an idiot if you actually believe that. But I'm going to leave it at that. But just, it can play mind games with some guys if they started out and they were the same size as an iPhone, and now the iPhone is significantly bigger than their D. So now let's get more into the anatomy and physiology. Believe it or not, guys, iPhones are making us more sedentary. So here's a paper, and it's the relationship between cell phone use, physical and sedentary activity, and cardiorespiratory fitness in a sample of U.S. college students. And this paper was published back in 2013, and Lord knows screen time has only increased. But what they found was that cell phone use was significantly and negatively related to cardiorespiratory fitness independent of sex, self-efficacy, and percent fat that were also predictors. And cell phones are literally making you more sedentary. When you're more sedentary, you're more fat, you have decreased cardiorespiratory function, you're not getting as good blood supply to your D. That's going to make your D smaller. And when you're more sedentary, you get fatter. When you have more fat pad covering the shaft of your penis, it's going to make your D look smaller. Here's definitive evidence. Cell phone use is making our D smaller, even if we're just talking about the effects of obesity and decreased blood flow. And how about corn? Everybody knows that pornography use has increased through the roof. Here's statistics by an actual published addiction help website where they look at actually the statistics of pornography. And what they found was that 62% of all pornography occurs on cell phones and smartphones. I've talked about how damaging pornography is, okay? So if you're watching it and you're looking at literally the top 0.0001% of hung guys in the entire world, literally the 1 in a billion guys that have size that big, and that's what you're comparing yourself to, that's going to mess with your mind and that's going to make you think you're smaller than you actually are. You need to cut out corn, stop watching it. It's not real life. If you must watch it, you need to watch the guys that are average size or even small so you can feel good about yourself. And yes, there is a subgenre of pornography that uses strictly average guys. Now, guys, this is important as well. Here's more anatomy and physiology. I can't say physiology today for some reason. Cell phone use, iPhones have a directly negative effect on testosterone levels. Guys, testosterone is key as far as actual erection quality, and there's even very clear evidence that decreased testosterone levels, especially as you age, is what's responsible for penile fibrosis and penile atrophy, meaning basically your dick scars down and it shrinks down as a result. What is the evidence? Well, this study right here shows that the negative effect, now this is in rabbits, this isn't in human studies, but I have human studies coming, and it shows the negative effects of your testicles when it comes to the effect of cell phone use. It showed that overall decrease in testicular function when exposed to that type of specific non-ionizing radiation from cell phones. Here's a meta-analysis paper on human data that says the effect of radiation emitted by wireless devices on male reproductive hormones, a systematic review. What they found is that according to this study, that mobile phones and Wi-Fi devices can decrease testosterone. And guys, here's another similar study, but different, looking at the adverse effects of Wi-Fi radiation, some of which are transmitted from your actual cell phone, which is a Wi-Fi device, guys, on male reproductive system, another systematic review. They looked at over 23 papers, and here's a quote, guys. The structural and/or physiologic analysis of the testes showed degenerative changes, reduced testosterone levels, and increased apoptotic cells, meaning cell death, basically programmed cell death, and DNA damage. Does anybody think that's a good thing for your testicles? Anybody? I didn't think so. By the way, fire Hink merch in my store, okay? Link is in the description. Guys, what about the most important thing when it comes to actual size of your D? And by the way, if you made it this far, guys, please leave a like. Consider subscribing if you've enjoyed the video so far. I'd appreciate it. But erectile function, guys. So erectile dysfunction is the single thing that's going to lead to the reduction of your size and literally making your D smaller. Is there any evidence of cell phone use causing erectile dysfunction? You bet, guys. Of course there is. Here's a paper titled Cell Phone Usage and Erectile Dysfunction. Here are some quotes, guys. Men with erectile dysfunction were found to carry their switched-on cell phones for a significantly longer time than those without erectile dysfunction. So we found a potential correlation with cell phone use and negative impact on erectile function. Now, guys, I've said this before. This is a correlative study. It could be that maybe it's not the cell phones directly causing erectile dysfunction, but it's the fact that the guys who have their cell phones on are the ones that are more sedentary, maybe the ones that are looking at corn, all of the aforementioned reasons that I just gave you about why corn is bad for you. This study actually looked at a bunch of different papers and said that, yes, there is, in fact, a correlation. Now, I say this every other video. There's a correlation between ice cream and drowning, okay? Because when people are swimming in the summer times when it's hot, it's also the time when they're eating ice cream. So this is not causation, this is correlation, but it's still very interesting data that needs to be taken into account. And guys, at this point, it doesn't have as much to do with overall size, but it still has to do with men's health, and that's fertility, guys. Cell phone use can dramatically impact your fertility. So here's a study here that shows the light emitted from media devices at night is associated with a decline in sperm quality. Meaning, when you're up at night doom scrolling through TikTok or whatever stupid shit you're watching when you should be going to sleep or doing something productive, what happens is that you can see, to the best of our knowledge, this is the first study to report these types of correlation between sperm quality and exposure time, the light emitted from digital media, especially smartphones and tablets in the evening and bedtime. So here's clear evidence of a decreased association with increased screen exposure and decreased fertility. Now, if you actually look at the radiobiology, guys, of the type of like electromagnetic radiation on sperm function, here is a study here that showed you have significant decrease in sperm motility and increased reactive oxygen species, which is bad, and higher levels of DNA damage, guys. There's very clear evidence, guys. Some of it is more correlative, but some of it is actually definitive evidence that they can actually show, yes, this exposure caused this. You really need to be careful with your cell phones. In conclusion, I just presented with you some evidence strong, some evidence was a bit of a reach, I'll give it to you, but there is negative psychological effects, whether it be from the size and kind of creating a dysmorphia when you have objects that used to be the same size as your D and now they're much bigger than your D. When it comes to streaming pornography on your phone, when it comes to erectile function, we have evidence of a decreased erectile function with smartphone use, decreased cardiovascular function, decreased fertility, and decreased test levels, guys, all associated with phones. Now, this title was clickbaity, of course, because it's new iPhone season, but this goes for all smartphones. Androids are certainly no exception, because if you're a dork and you use an Android and you have all these side effects, I'm just kidding, Android users, kind of, just kidding. BD uses an Android, and I give him so much crap for that. But guys, what can you do to limit the negative effects? Well, I mean, number one would be just limit your cell phone use. Get out in the world and touch grass. Like, I can't believe how many guys are engrossed in this just digital media, digital dating for Tinder or on social media. Like, get out in the world and meet girls or guys in real life. Get off of your cell phone. Download an app that limits the amount of screen time you have. Delete these stupid social media apps that are contributing to toxic side effects like your impression of yourself, or I say it all the time, watching girls on TikTok, oh, if you're not 12 inches, then don't holler at me. Like, that is not good for you. And that's healthy. And TikTok, especially when you talk about like the dopamine release pathways and the addictive like algorithms that they have, guys, social media is so toxic. It is, okay? So delete everything else, of course, but this channel. If you're going to carry a cell phone, carry it in your back pocket or carry it in a bag. Carry it somewhere like away from your genitals, guys. That's going to limit the amount of that non-ionizing radiation that's exposed to your testicles, so you're going to limit those effects. If you're going to be on your cell phone, be on your cell phone when you're out like on a treadmill or something. Like, don't make yourself a target for theft by like walking around like on your phone like this, or walking out into traffic and get hit by a car. But get on a treadmill, put your phone up there and stream something on your phone that way if you're going to use your phone, so you can be active while you're using your phone. And guys, on top of that, just exercise. Like, you guys know I'm putting out more and more fitness content. Let's go right now. You guys need to exercise. Get off the couch and go move and put the fork down. It's so easy to get overweight. I'm not trying to like fat shame or anything, but some of you guys make excuses for why you're overweight, or like, oh, I'm not that fat, or like you have no concept of what actual body fat is. A general indicator, BMI. No, it's not perfect. If you're Phil Heath or like Ronnie Coleman and you're full of muscle, like, yes, you're going to have a high body weight and you're high BM and you're going to have a high BMI as a result. So you like pedantic douchebags can leave that comment if you want to. But in general, you need to get out, you need to lose weight, and you need to be at a healthy weight for most guys, especially if you're here in America. And guys, learn size statistics. You need to learn what is an actual like average size. Like I've talked about before in countless videos about like what is actual size. It's about 5.2 inches in length. Bone pressed is in general the average size of the D. Yes, there's a range. Yes, there's standard deviations, but in general, that is the truth. But you need to watch some of my videos and learn about that. Now, if you are upset because like every year the iPhone gets a little bigger and bigger and your D stays the same, guys, there is definitive published evidence that you can in fact make your penis bigger. That's part of the reason why I made my enlargement course based on real science that actually breaks through the data on how to do it efficiently, and how to do it safely based on real medical practices, okay? So if you're interested in that, that's how I added over 1.5 inches in length to my D, guys, and I have the receipts for it. Many of you guys have seen it, but the link is in the description. The last thing that can help, guys, is honestly supplements. You guys know what I'm going to mention here, but we're talking about decreased testosterone, guys. That's why I made our Vitality supplement based on real science. Once again, real published data where you can pull up the paper and you can look at it yourself and see that it works. If you're worried about your fertility, that's where our Virility comes in, which is proven to increase fertility, increase sperm mobility, and also give you a significantly bigger load. For guys that just want to have fun, hashtag face painters. And then, of course, guys, for erection quality, we have our Vigor, which is literally an Amazon choice, a bestseller, which is amazing for erection quality. There's probably a dude in the comments that is talking about how well it worked for them, okay? And of course, if you want to couple that with our Fortitude, it's based on horny goat weed, which once again, guys, all based on real science. But guys, that's going to do it today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Am I just talking out of my butt? Are you getting the new iPhone? Are you upgrading this year? Let me know what you think. I'm actually not upgrading, but I have a 15 Pro and it's actually a 15 Pro Max, and it's stupid for me to even consider an upgrade at this point. But I appreciate you guys watching. The links for all the ways you can support me are in the description below, guys. It's been a long day. And of course, if you need to reach me for consultation, ask me a question, patreon.com/DocHink. All right, guys, remember, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys, peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Stay calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.